Om Shri Sai Ram. I offer my humble salutation at the lotus feet of our revered founder chancellor, Bhagwan Shri Satya Sai Baba. Respected Vice Chancellor, members of University Fraterna, Director of Anantapur Campus, Professor Rajeshwari C. Patel Ma'am, Honorable Speakers, distinguished guests, researchers, students, and viewers. I welcome you all to the third session of International E-Conference, Nutritional and Health Interventions for Pandemic and Post-Pandemic Scenarios, organized by Department of Food and Nutritional Sciences, Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, as a part of National Nutrition Month celebrations, September 2020. For today's session, we have three speakers who will be speaking to us on different topics like Ayurvedic diet and lifestyle, a holistic intervention for pandemic and beyond, COVID-19 doctors' experience on treatment and recommendations for wellness, and feeding options for the elderly in COVID scenarios. The first speaker for this session is Dr. Jayashree. Dr. D. Jayashree ma'am is the proprietor of Chief Ayurveda Physician at Sri Ayurvedic Multi-Speciality Hospital, Chennai, and the Managing Director of Ayurvedashram Private Limited. Dr. Jayashree is also the trustee of Pragna Trust, a women's self-help organization located in Chennai. Madam has been working with the goal of spreading the scenario of Ayurveda and making it available to the public at a large. Madam was awarded the legendary Medical Practitioners of India Award Ayurveda of 2015 by Worldwide Media Corporation USA. She also participated in the World Ayurvedic Conference held in Kolkata in 2016. Madam is the visiting faculty of Ayurvedic Nutrition in the Department of Food and Nutritional Sciences, Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, Anantapur campus. I now invite Dr. Jayashree Madam to deliver the first talk of this session. Welcome, ma'am.
Sairam.
Sairam.
My pronouns to all in above and below the stage. I thank everybody. I thank the Institute for having given me this wonderful opportunity. My topic today is on Ayurvedic diet and lifestyle, a holistic intervention for pandemic and beyond. As per the Ayush guidelines and Ayurvedic principles, today we will be talking on this particular subject. Ayurveda is the only science of life which talks on prevention and then the treatment. But now, since about 10 years, I think the allopathic system also has come out with a prevention section. Today's topic has been divided into three major subtitles, that is the daily recommended regimen, the general preventive guideline, and the immunity promoting measures. What are the major factors that affect us? We are under constant attack from the virus, the bacteria, the fungus, the pollutions, and this spreads through contact, sneezing, drinks, food, thoughts, etc. The main symptoms, today as we are talking about corona, we can talk about corona, the main symptoms being a throat infection, high fever, dry cough, body pain, lung and intestinal infection can be a later on development for the person. So, what would be the daily recommended regimen that is required to prevent us from getting this disease, and even if we get this infection, how do we prevent from it going further on? What we have to first remember is body is the output of all inputs. Hence, one must be very careful of what goes in. What goes in is based on these five basic scenarios, the activities that we do, the food that we eat, the drinks that we drink, the senses, all the input to the senses are also the food that goes into our body. So let us talk about each with a slightly different perspective than what we are seeing today. The first thing that comes to the mind is the fear. Fear makes us the most susceptible. We are faced with so many worse scenarios, so do not panic or fear. Do take the necessary precautions, but at the same time, we should not take it light. We have to think positive and make best of the situation. Fear and staying indoors for a very long time causes a lot of mental disturbances, and any input, whether it is the connectivity, the change, the love, awareness, disharmony, harmony, hate, whatever is going on around us, causes a major ripple in any sector in our body. So the first thing is, when we are staying at home, the family atmosphere has to be perfect. The children will get bored, they want to go out, they want to play, and when they throw up tantrums, then everybody goes into a toss. So what we should do is try to keep the children from getting bored, encourage indoor games like carrom board, snake and ladder, and so many so forth. And the best time to take advantage of family time, which makes our bond stronger, and let us catch up with so many precious moments with the families that we lost during our daily routine previously. This will give the mind a very much needed break from the staying cooped up in a single place. Next, when we talk about anybody having a cold, cough, fever, we must definitely wear a mask. Who are healthy need not wear, but because a lot of people don't wear, we also wear the mask. But there is one issue here. When we are wearing the mask constantly for 3 to 4 hours, 5 hours, we are breathing in the own CO2 that we are supposed to be throwing out every day, every minute. So what do we do to combat that particular thing? And how do we prevent the viruses or any infection to enter our nose? In Ayurveda, there is a particular treatment called Nasya. Before we go out into a gathering or before we go out, step out of the house, please put 4 to 5 drops of either ghee, which is the clarified butter, or coconut oil in your nose. This is a very good filter that protects you. Just like in swimming, when we put coconut oil or any oil in our ear and then we are not exposed and then we go to swim, the water does not go in. Similarly, when you put nasal drops in your nose, it will be protecting you, and when you come home, just blow your nose and you will be free from the particular infection. Next, please do not shake hands. Our traditional joining the hands and going to each other, greeting each other is one of the best. The next one is washing the hands. Now, definitely we have to wash our hands a number of times in this COVID situation. But what happens is, when we use the alcohol-based sanitizers or hand wash, we are left with dryness in our hands. Now, this is what we have to be careful about. And we also know that sometimes when they use this sanitizer or alcohol, without washing the hands, we sit down to eat, some portion of that goes in, causing some acidity and other things which are surfaced. The best thing would be to have a total 100% herbal sanitizer which gives us the same result. And I'm glad to say that we have already come out with a sanitizer which gives 98.75% of safety, almost in terms with the allopathic or the alcohol-based one. Then, next is fumigation. This is very important. We are staying obviously inside the house, but we are exposed to all the dust and other things that come into our house, and there are chances of virus being inside our house. It has been a very old system in India, right from centuries, that every day we light a dhoop, that is, we do the fumigation of the house. Basically, this is done with either a Dashanga dhoopam or a Samrani dhoopam at home. This works wonderfully well. And there have been instances, just for example, I'll tell you, in one of the hospitals in the pediatric department, we had an infection which the children used to have motions and vomiting, and a lot of children were casualties for this. Many children died and they were not able to do anything. Then after 5 to 7 days, Ayurveda was given a chance to do something. So at that time we adopted putting this fumigation twice in the ward, and within 3 days this infection had come down. So I'm mentioning this only to tell you that how potent a fumigation or how important a fumigation is. And open ventilation is very important. Don't stay in a closed environment. The sunlight has to come inside. So even if you are using AC, in the daytime, off the AC, open the windows, let the fresh sunlight come in, which is supposed to be one of the main primignas, that which kills viruses and other infections. Of course, eating outside in this condition is not advisable. One of the main tips that we have to remember here, that all the 6 days have to be taken every day. Okay, this is very important, because Each one provides us with whatever the body needs in whatever proportion. For example, sweet we may be taking more. Here when I say sweet, it means the rice, wheat and other things. But even the salt, a little portion, the bitterness and antigen, even if it is just two pinches also, that gives us what is needed for the body. So all the six tastes should be there. Exercise becomes inevitable. Yoga is one of the best. Other than that, walking, doing any sort of exercise and keeping the fluidity of our body intact in today's scenario is very important. Next, the most other important factor is prayers to the Almighty to keep us safe during this time is very important. In India, we pray to Lord Dhanvantari, to Lord Shiva. This sound vibration, it doesn't depend on which Lord you pray. The sound vibrations when we pray to the Lord give a very positive energy and a different Shakti or energy that prevents us from falling sick. Next, we shall move on to the general preventive guidelines. Now, we have to remember that balance is health. When there is imbalance, it is disease. Now, this balance, when we are talking about both the mind and the body. Now, what is the kind of balance that we are talking about? The body, which is a part of the universe, has to be in balance with the universe outside. So we need to know just a little bit about ourselves so that we can individualize the food and the preventions that we are talking about. So I'll just give you a very small guideline that will help you throughout your life to choose that which is good for you. This is very essential. So let us take a look at the basics. Now, all of us know that the entire universe, including us, are made up of the five elements. That is the sky, wind, fire, water and earth. Now just like H2O is always made up of hydrogen and oxygen, that is H2 and O, we too are these five elements always come together as pairs. That is the sky and the wind, they join together and come as a unit, and in Ayurveda that has been named as Vata. Then fire and water come together, that has been named as Pitta, and water and earth have come together, that has been named as Kapha. We use this terminology Vata, Pitta, Kapha just because it is shorter. Instead of 5, we are using 3. But the basic elements, now why do we talk about the basic elements? Basic elements, every single person knows, whether you are in medicine, whether you are in math, science, any department. We do know how the sky is, we do know how the wind feels, nice, cool, pleasant. When it is more, what is the problems we have. We know the warmth that the fire gives us. We also know the damage the fire does. Water, how essential it is, how the earth sustains us. So these five elements basically will trigger a thought in the mind as to what we are dealing with. So the best thing that we have to remember is this Vata, Pitta and Kapha, that is the combination of five elements, have to be in balance to retain a perfect health. So every man will either have a Vata Prakriti, Pitta Prakriti, that is constitution, or a Kapha constitution. Generally, it will be a combination of two or more, like Vata Pitta, Pitta Kapha, Kapha Vata. But this generally will be the guideline of what our body requires. Next, how do we utilize this particular knowledge? And how do we take care of ourselves? So we have to take care of our individual body. The most important thing, or we are what we eat or what we take in. So what are the things we take in? First thing is the food. We take all the different foods and the drinks that is given to us, and all the thoughts, the emotions that our mind undergoes, that too is food. That is why it is so important that when you eat, you don't sit in front of the TV, don't have business meetings. The 10 minutes of what food we eat, it is important that we sit calmly, eat it with full calm mind and atmosphere, and that will give us the maximum benefit. Now, how do we know what or how to judge this appetite or this fire of ours? That is the digestive enzymes. Hunger is the best thermometer for testing the status of our digestion. Okay. We use these parameters to guide us on what, how, when, how much, what kind of, that is the quality, and in what form we should take, that is solid, liquid, gases. That too, with so much precision, they have told us which type of person, in what season, in what place, in what health condition, we are supposed to take what type of food. That much precise information we can get. So we need to know or diagnose what is our body type or what kind of health are we into now. So let us talk about the Agni or the digestive fire. Now, just pay a little bit of extra attention here because this will guide you towards your future, taking control of your future health. Okay. Now, Jatragni, this is the digestive fire, what you see here. Now, there are four types. The normal one, which is perfectly balanced. We cook food, we eat food, and the cooking is perfect. Similarly, the cooking in our stomach is also perfect. This perfect Agni is called the Samana Agni, that is the balanced fire. Now, with the next fire, can you see here how mild it is? It is glowing with great difficulty. You can see the blocks in the fire here, right? The same thing happens in our abdomen. The pores are blocked, and so the fire doesn't come out properly. It is called a low fire, that is Mandagni. This Mandagni is what actually causes a lot of indigestion in our body because food is not digested. Now take the opposite. You can see the flame is really burning. It's like a forest fire. So when this happens, you remember the burning sensation in the stomach. Sometimes when we take things that are real spicy, that is called Tikshnagni or high fire. Okay, very strong fire it is. So in this case, what happens? The food gets burned. What use is the burnt food? So this also is a wrong condition. Then there is a very interesting fourth combination called the Vishama Agni. That is a fluctuating fire. Now here what you should really imagine is there's a stove where you're cooking food and there's a fan next to it. So as the fan keeps blowing, the stove becomes either a very mild fire or it becomes a huge fire. And maybe sometimes in between it will become a common fire. So these are the different types of fire. Now, I'm very sure if you are able to understand this concept and visualize it, it will help you know what is the type of appetite or what is the condition of your digestive system at that particular moment. So it's very important that to remain healthy, you have to protect your digestive fire. Now, let us see the timings which help us to keep this body in tune with our external nature's body. So let us take a look at this bio clock. This bio clock, the kapha time is 6 to 10, pitta time is 10 to 2, and vata time is 2 to 6. So we are seeing the pitta time here, right? Pitta is the fire, that is 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. should be the major time when you take food to eat. The major food of the day should be between this 10 to 2. Now as you see this column here, I have divided into 4 columns. Whenever we sit to eat, the most important thing is that we should eat 3/4 of the stomach. 1/4 should be empty and 3/4 should be full. Now, how do you fill this 3/4? We should have 1 portion solid and 2 portions liquid. Okay, now when we come, the next most important point is the health mantra. When hunger is less, you eat light or have liquids. That is, hunger is less means you should have 2 portions light, 1 portion heavy. And when really we are hungry, 2 portions should be heavy, 1 portion should be light. If you notice here, 3/4 of the stomach should be full. It is only 1/4 that should be kept empty. You know the science principle, empty space will help the gas fill in. So we should not keep our stomach empty more than 1/4. So even if you are not hungry, then you at least have either soups or gruel, kanji, porridge, any liquid item, 3/4 stomach, so that your body health is maintained. What does this do? Why is it important? This particular combination or proportions of food we eat sees that we give our stomach the much needed rest. The stomach has to digest all the food we eat before we have the next food. That is the basic principle of a good health. So prevention can start only when digestion is complete. Hence, it is very, very essential that you have this particular thought in your mind and eat according to your own digestive system. Now, there is also a small aspect called sequence of eating. Okay, so the first thing that you should eat is the sweet. That is the major portion of the food, like the rice or the chapati or the wheat items, millet items. These are all heavy and they should be taken first. The next should be the sour items. Okay, after that comes the salt items. After that is followed by spicy items, whatever you have in between food. The astringent, just like the pickles and other things, and the bitter items come next. So this should basically be the sequence of eating, which helps the digested food to be assimilated properly in our system. Next, the most important guideline or the factor that tells us about our health is the way we pass our motion. Constipation is one of the worst scenarios which causes the worst traffic jam. Okay, so not only it blocks the traffic in that line, it also obstructs the bile lanes also. So what happens? The unwanted toxins are retained inside, which is the source of various diseases. Next, we come to the immunity section. And here we are going to be talking a little bit in detail about the immunity promoting measures. What we spoke up till now are the general stuff and the basic guidelines based on which the immunity of a body is built, which is very important. So what is basically immunity? We can define it as immunity being the energy that destroys the toxins in our body. Okay. Now, these toxins are called ama, the indigested food particles that remain in the body. The longer they stay, the more fermented they are. These settle in different parts of the body, causing diseases. So, one of the major or very nice aspect that the rishis have given us is a concept called fasting. This fasting was a very integral portion of our body. The body's internal recycling program. Okay, it's what happens when you fast. When we fast, there is a process called the autophagy, which is the body's internal recycling program that kickstarts. What it does, it stores all the cellular junks for all for emergencies. This is generally activated following starvations. What really happens in autophagy? It collects all the damaged cells, the unused proteins, the infected cells, the worn out cells, and it is stored in a double membrane vesicle in our body. It is stored in different places. Now, when a body undergoes the fasting, because there is no new input of food coming in, the body is channelized and the energy is channelized to digest this source that has been kept in our body. So what happens? They break it down, and from this we generate the energy, we build new cells, and we remove the damaged, infected, and unwanted cells. This ama can be compared to the free radicals that attack the cell and causes diseases. Now, what are these actually free radicals? These free radicals are like robbers which are deficient in energy. These free radicals attack and snatch the energy from other cells to satisfy themselves. So, this is how the antioxidants work. The antioxidants are the things that we'll be talking about next. They keep donating electrons to these free radicals, so they stabilize themselves, and that is how we remain healthy. So this is a very scientific principle, but given to us centuries back for keeping our body healthy. You can see here that the healthy atom is there. The free radical is snatching the atom away from there, and the antioxidant keeps providing them so that they don't snatch the healthy atoms. Now, this fasting, how we used to talk about fasting in the olden days, or even today, many people follow this particular rule. The depth lies in the systematic, precise timing and the different timings of the induced autophagy. For example, the weekly fast. Here, it is very common that on Thursdays and Saturdays, there will be only one time meal. The night dinner will be very, very light. Then, on the day of the 11th day of the moon, or which is called the Ekadashi, generally is the fasting period. The whole day they will fast without any solid food. One whole day of liquid fast takes place. The disease and the treatment oriented now. There is also one more fasting which is based on the disease and the treatment oriented. This also does the detoxification that is very necessary for our body to stay healthy. So what are these antioxidants and what does it do? These antioxidants provide us improve the antibacterial, antiviral, anti-inflammatory, anti-allergic, anti-thrombotic, etc., of the immune system and keeps the immunity intact. What are the basic antioxidants that we can talk about? The gooseberries, triphala, ginger, the kitchen spices, they are very, very important, and the list goes on. It's an endless list. So these things take care of our health. Now, according to a study in 2018, which was published in the Journal of Traditional and Complementary Medicine, the herbal teas decoctions are a rich source of natural bioactive components or antioxidants. This shows us the importance of what we are being given now today by the health authorities. Why do we have to drink this herbal teas, or how it is going to help us? When our mind accepts the theory, we are ready to take in these things. That is why it is very essential that we understand this particular processes. Hot water itself is a very good detox. Drinking hot water, say once in 15 days, throughout the day, 15 minutes, actually detoxifies our body, and whatever toxin has got adhered into our system is going to be cleansed and thrown out. The herbal tea that is very much spoken about today works very well against the viral infection. The ingredients basically today spoken about is the pepper, the ginger, the ajwain or the carom seeds, the cinnamon, the tulsi, the crushed ginger, turmeric, classified butter. These are all the common mixed match of spices that people are making into herbal tea and drinking today. And trust me, it's one of the very good drinks that will fortify us against the viral infection going on today. The other most common drink that is very common in India is the chuku coffee or the ginger coffee and the ginger tea. This is a healthy drink, appetizer and a digestive. Next we come to the energy boosters. We know that in Corona our energy gets depleted very fast. After the bout of fever or something, at least for 10 to 15 days, we are really out of tune when they fall sick and after the post-COVID fever time. So at that time, what would be the best energy boosters we can take? As usual, we all know about the dry fruits. Now in dry fruits, one particular thing that you have to remember in your mind is the fact that dry fruits are heavy to digest. So how much you take also matters. So the preferable combination would be something like, say, 2 almonds or maximum 4 almonds. You should not take 10 almonds thinking that it is healthy because it will be indigested. So it should be almonds, then it can be raisins are the only one that you can take 12 to 15 in a day. All the other things like the khajur and the figs and the things can be taken 2 to 4 in number. Cashew nuts also can be 2 to 4. The other most important one we can talk about is the puffed rice or that which is called nelpuri. This can be made in the form of laddus or the sweet balls as you see here, or it can be made in the form of porridge. It will be very interesting for you people to know that it is in olden days when we did not used to have this glucose IV intervention fluids that were given when we were drained of energy. It used to be substituted by this nelpuri kanji, that is the porridge made out of this particular puffed rice. That used to give us energy equivalent to putting a drip today. So this is a very important thing that you can keep in your mind. Very good energy booster. Then you come to natural coolants. You have seen that coronavirus is basically a drying substance. You can see that people are going more into dryness. So that is the place you can think of taking coolants. Now, what are the basic coolants? Tender coconut water, as you all know, dry grapes, lassi, that is thick buttermilk, cumin water. In Kerala, if you know, they will take cumin water throughout the year. That is supposed to be very good for the body. Then milkshakes, they are excellent coolants, the natural fruit juices, and no doubt the castor oil, because castor oil is something that cools and lubricates the system. It can be taken in hot water or hot milk, and 2 teaspoons is a very minimum dose. Only if you take more than 8 to 10 tablespoons will you ever have a loose motion. So don't be scared of taking castor oil. In case you go into very much dry cough or dryness in the body, dry skin, breathing difficulty, this is something that could help you immediately. We have other detox procedures. They are the highlight of the Ayurvedic Panchakarma therapies, which is meant for both prevention and cure. Detox can be of various types. When you do a oil massage and you steam yourself, all the pores open up and the body gets detoxed of all the unwanted substances. Similarly, there are very many programs. Now, these detox rejuvenative programs also depend on the season, the person, the age, the disease, the location. Now, let us talk about the COVID fever time. What happens during the fever time? People generally are down with fever for right from 2 to 4 to 5 days, maybe even 7 days, and they have terrible weakness as far as COVID is concerned. Now, what you have to remember is fever is a sign of our immune system being active and fighting the infections and toxins. So, at the first sign of fever, do not panic. It means your body is active. It is fighting. Don't jump to medicine immediately. The first thing you should do is do a fast. Take very light food for the first 1 or 2 days and help the body fight the infection. Okay. Then you take the help of the supportive medicines, food, the herbs, that which is necessary. So this is something that you people should keep in mind. Now, what is the type of food that a person should really take when you are having a fever? Now, many people do take bread, but remember, bread is made up of maida, and maida is something that actually sticks because it is very micro powdered. So generally, bread tends to stick in the intestines and cross a block. What Ayurveda says is, at the time of fever, at the time of any major disease, what the body needs is some light food, and light food which is easily digested, which does not remain behind as a toxin. So there are two major recipes that I would like to share with you. One is the Manda. It is called Manda, Peya, and Yavagu. They are just the same thing. That is the rice and water in the proportion of 1:14. That is 1 cup of rice is 14 cups of water. You boil it well, and the liquid that is there, that is taken as internally on the first and second day and other things. After you get little better, you take the liquid and the water along with that. And in the third stage, when you are really getting back to normal health, you go into something called Yavagu, which is a mix, that is a semi-solid whole. Now, the same proportion can be used for a lentil soup, that is the green gram. There also, when you boil it with the same proportion, you can take the liquid when you are really very sick. In between, when you are getting well, you can take it a little bit of the grain along with the water. And the third one is totally boiled and seasoned. This helps us a lot. This is very useful and very good diet which keeps your energy intact, does not allow the accumulation of extra toxin in the body. Now, we come to the spices that can be added to this, and very interestingly, they have also divided what kind of spices can be added for what type of fever we have. Supposing we have fever where we don't have any appetite at all, then logically it goes that we'll be having some ginger, some pepper, some pipili, all those things. That is piper longum. That is put as a powdered form as a spice in that gruel that we saw now and taken. Supposing you are having fever with diarrhea, then you use pomegranates in that one. Suppose you are having fever where you have body pain a lot. Now this is the place where you can take this something called Gokshira, that is Tribulus terrestris, then Kantakari, Solanum zurentus, then Raktasali, that are Oreza sativa. Then if you have fever with constipation, you can take gooseberries. You should put little ghee in that porridge and take. This will help you a lot along with pepper. But supposing you are having fever and you are not getting sleep, you are keeping on feeling thirsty, then at that time you please use ginger and gooseberry along with glutam and you'll find a wonderful change in the condition. So these are some very important things that can be used anytime in your life, whenever you have fever or whenever you fall sick, for anybody in your family. Now, what is the most important contraindicated activities during fever? The daytime sleep. Daytime sleep is not advised. You can lie down and rest, but generally you are not supposed to sleep. You should not bathe in cold water. You should not have oil massages when you are having fever. Then you should not have solid or heavy food to digest. Sexual intercourse is definitely to be avoided. Anger is another thing that has to be avoided. Exposure to too much wind is not good. You should never exercise when you are having fever. And food with astringent taste is very good. These are is not to be taken. These are to be avoided by the patients in the acute phase of fever. One should completely avoid food items which are heavy, spicy, astringent, and oily. Avoiding these factors help the body immune system to fight against the infections and efficiently prevent complications of the diseases, which is very essential. Now, let us go ahead to the other favorite drink that is going around the world at present. I believe even in coffee shops and all, they are supplying golden latte. It is nothing but turmeric half teaspoon, milk 150. Just mix the two and drink, and that is one of the best immunity booster that you can do, and the simplest one too. There is another very good drink, and I call it the COVID nectar. Just a moment. This can be prepared with a glass of milk, 1 teaspoon of turmeric, 6 or 7 black pepper ground a little, and 1 teaspoon of ghee. Now boil well and drink this milk. If you want, you can add a little bit of sugar to this. When you drink this at night, you will not get cold, and it will be very good for the sore throat and other things. So it is advisable that you can go in for this drink whenever you have throat pain, cold, cough, everything. So very ideal, especially dry cough. The idea of adding the clarified butter or ghee is basically because that soothes the dry throat, and the cough that is hurting the person will be helping them. Now, next comes the digestive stimulators, that is the herbal tea or the decoction, and this decoction is commonly made from tulsi, the cinnamon, the black pepper, the dry ginger, and raisins. Here again, you can add jaggery as per your requirement, or you can even add the fresh lemon juice. But raisins and jaggery both are stuff that brings down the dryness. That is why it is advisable that if you add a few into this particular drink, it will help you a lot. Next, the most common pepper rasam that comes out from our kitchen. This pepper rasam is a very good digestive. Here, I would like to bring it to your notice that pepper is one particular herb that when digested, it is sweet. Though it is spicy to taste, when it is digested, it is sweet. So it never causes acidity in a person unless taken in very huge quantity. That is the reason that pepper is advised even for young babies, even to senior citizens at home. So this pepper rasam is a very good appetizer, digestive, keeps the tract clean, multi-purpose drink. Now, I would like to take a few moments to talk to you about the importance of ghee. This ghee or the cow's ghee, which is called a clarified butter, has got a huge significance in our body. As soon as you take this ghee, the first thing it does in our stomach is it produces oxygen. This oxygen, it is like lighting a fire in our stomach just before we consume food. So when you are consuming food, this ghee will provide the necessary fuel to digest anything that you take in. So generally per meal, 2 teaspoons of ghee is advised. Now it is not only the question about lighting a fire. You see the lubricant action of that. This lubricant action is the one that actually lubricates all the joints in your body. And the accumulated phlegm that is accumulated in our chest, that also gets diluted and flows out, preventing us from getting something like pneumonia or any other solidified phlegm in our chest. So that also is very important. Then there are few more other good qualities of ghee, like it is very good for the brain, it is responsible for our eyesight, it is a protection for the heart. So these are the basic things that the ghee will help us. There is one more thing called the Swarna Prashana. It's an Ayurvedic immunization for the program. Now, interestingly, this Swarna Prashana or this medicine of immunity for the kids, which is given from age 0 up till the teens, that is about 16 to 17 years, is given on the day of Pushya Nakshatra. This Pushya Nakshatra is supposed to be very good for health. And on that day, when we are administrating this medicine to the kids, it is like the immunization or the vaccine program, and it keeps the kids very healthy. Now, this in a box shows us that it is our thoughts, action, food, lifestyle, that is our shield. So this makes it very important that all the inputs that goes into our body is the one that is responsible to either health or sickness. So please keep a sharp eye on seeing what we should eat, when we should eat, how we should eat, how much we should eat, and what is the condition of our body. Based on that, we have to choose these things. So, coming to an end, two very important aspects that we have to keep in our mind is the mind is as equal to the body, because the input of the mind is stronger than the body, and it is this mind that can take over the body and cause sickness. If you have a strong mind, the disease will take longer time to even invade into you. A weak mind is something like opening a window. So when you open the window, then you are allowing the unwanted stuff to come in. So always have a balanced mind. Worrying is never a solution. Think of the positive. Think what next. Okay, we have come. COVID has come. It is there. It is here around us. How are we going to get out of it should be our thought. Instead of sitting and worrying, COVID has come, what shall we do? These things actually lower the immunity of our body. So the mental frame of mind is as much importance as the food we eat. So it is very important you have a balanced mind, for which you do have various solutions like the meditations, pranayams, the positive thinking aspects, and today you have many such things also going around in the form of classes. I wish you all the best of health and happiness, and wish you and to keep you safe from COVID. I wish you and your family all the best.
Thank you, madam, for giving us such a valuable information which is easily understandable for a layman also. Madam, you have very well highlighted about the different examples which we can quote it to our everyday life, and you have also concentrated on the importance of 6 tastes in the daily diet to maintain vata, pitta and kapha. And ma'am has also explained about the maintenance of bio clock so that we can maintain the immunity in the body. And very significantly, ma'am, you have given us the sequence of eating different food items during having lunch or a dinner. And you have also very well explained about the health boosters and how to maintain during the COVID fever time and not to get panicked immediately when once we get the fever. And fever is an indication of that our body is active also. And madam, you have also explained about the different digestive stimulators, and also you have clearly mentioned about the things which we should not do in the COVID fever time also. And the importance of Prashana, which is Ayurvedic immunization program, which is very useful for all of us to know the significance of Ayurveda in daily diet. And also, ma'am, you have told about a living example of what Ayurveda has done for the COVID patients. So thank you very much for the valuable information, ma'am. And if ma'am permits, can we ask few questions from the audience side, ma'am?
Yes, yes, sure. Please go.
Ma'am, does lowers by drinking water while eating?
Yeah. See, basically, before eating, never drink water because you are diluting the fire. So maybe if you are very thirsty, you can have a sip or two. Between food, you are advised to have a few sips so that it is very easily turned in our stomach. And after food, we are advised 1 glass of water. Now you have to remember that our body is intelligent. If we are thirsty, it will ask us for water. So we have to go according to the body language. By drinking more than 1, 2, 3 liters of water, we will be diluting the salts in our body, which is actually not indicated as far the Ayurvedic principle is concerned.
And one more question is, energy boosters advisable for diabetic patients?
Yes, they have to be selective in what they are choosing. Okay. Now, say we say fruit juice, we know that mango is not advised for diabetes, so mango has to be avoided. So, like that, they can use the diet given to them, see that it is taken, but all the juices that the diabetic patients will take should not be having sugar in them. And the more the bitter taste they take, the more it is better for them. It is a well-known thing that, the jamuns, the fenugreek, and any other bitter substances, bitter gourd juice, these are all very common and very good for them. So anything that is indicated for a diabetic patient is fine.
Okay, ma'am. Another question, is jaggery recommended a daily diet for the diabetic patients, and how often it can be taken in a daily jaggery?
See, yes, sugar is the worst. Jaggery also is not much indicated, but it is better than sugar. In case of any necessity or something, a little bit of jaggery added here and there is good. There is a theory that says that jaggery does not harm and all, but still, base bottom, jaggery is also a sweet, so you have to go a little low as far as jaggery is concerned also. But it is better that we can have little jaggery instead of sugar, basically.
Thank you, ma'am.
Couple more questions. Madam, ghee is salmon. So, how much patient of the question?
For the heart patient, see, as far as the Ayurveda is concerned, ghee has been told that it is a protector of the heart. So a little quantity even for the heart patient is definitely recommended. Half teaspoon to 1 teaspoon of ghee even the heart patient can take. Actually what happens, the heart is also a machine, a mechanism. So when you are taking this ghee, it gets over-oiled and it will function well. Too much of a dryness always obstructs in the functioning of a organ. So ghee, even a heart patient can take to a little extent, but they should be intelligent enough or smart enough to not take too much. Okay, permission has been given, so I take sweet which is made up of too much ghee. They'll not be able to digest. So basically, it depends on the digestive system of that person. If he's really able to digest well, we can take a little bit of ghee. And if he's tempted to take sweet with ghee or something, that day he should avoid of the rice or the wheat he's taking. So that at least the total balance remains in place. That is very essential.
Okay. Madam, I think there was very clear. Can fruits be mixed with milk?
Citrus fruit should not be mixed with milk. No citrus fruit is allowed to be mixed with milk. So even if you are adding grapes, we should make sure they are not sweet in nature. So don't add grapes, don't add oranges. Preferably any citric fruit is a no-no with milk.
Is the kada or kashayam and Ayush, is it good?
Yes, it is very good. The kada is a basic thing, and they have come out with a combination that can work for any of the dosha. Like we spoke about the vata, pitta, kapha, three basic constituents. So for all the prakriti, this kada will work well.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you.
Admita, you can take over.
Thank you once again, ma'am, for giving us valuable information. Just one more last question.
Yes, sure.
Can golden latte be considered, ma'am? Golden latte.
Every day? Yes.
Any significant time of event?
Yes. Any time, whenever the first sign of having any throat pain or having any discomfort, having some feeling that you're falling sick, please go ahead and have it. There is no harm in that. I would like to thank Satya Sai University and your department for having given me this opportunity. Thank you very much. Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, ma'am.